G'day.
G'day.
Thanks for stopping by.
Definitely. So in this video, we want to talk about death and taxes. Well, really what we want to talk about is healthcare and postal services mainly. Because you know what, when it comes to our taxes, they find you anywhere in Australia, don't they, Paul?
Yeah.
As long as you use the only file number you'll ever be given, you will be found. So that's not an issue. But what is an issue is mail and health. And we want to spend this time talking to you about how we've navigated mail and health on our travel, our full-time travels in the last 4 years. We've just had to learn along the way what works and what doesn't work.
Exactly. And so, come and join us now and we'll share with you our experience and the, I suppose, tips and tricks that we've learned along the way to handle our mail and also for our healthcare. All right, so let's kick this off with mail.
It's probably the easier one.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part nowadays, you can do things online. So there's not a lot of mail you need to physically have delivered.
Generally, our mail goes to a family member in Victoria.
What little mail there is.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of mail now. We've organised most of it, if not all of it, to be electronic.
Now, even with our private business that we operate from the caravan, we're able to get most of that done electronically. Occasionally, we get hard copy mail that does go, again, to the family member's address. So we either get them to open it or to forward it to us. So while there is mail that still gets sent to a physical address, there's also mail that you can do online, but you have to record a physical address, like registrations and insurances and things like that.
Sure.
All done online. But you do have to have a physical address somewhere for that. So for your registration, you can't just have a no fixed address. It has to be linked to a particular place. Ours is linked to a family member's house in Melbourne, so we've got a Vic Roads registration for our car and van. We can pay it online. We never actually have to physically go there to do it.
And we also don't need to wait for the paper version to arrive before you pay it, because if you have a Vic Roads account,
you go online.
It's all online. It's you know, all your vehicles come up.
A hot tip though, one of the things that do come to a physical address, speeding fines. We found that out the hard way.
Did you?
Now, the other aspect of it is parcels. When you're on the road, you tend to find, or we've tended to find, that we actually do purchase a lot online. Caravan gear, things for the car, clothes. All sorts of things that you require a parcel delivery for. So we make use of post offices in that particular area. For instance, when we went up to Darwin, we were a couple of weeks out from the Darwin area. We knew we were going to be staying at Oasis Caravan Park, which is
in Coolangatta or near Coolangatta.
Yeah. So we actually had things posted to Coolangatta Post Office in advance. They'll hang on to it for 10 days.
Some places will hold it longer for you anyway, and some are sticklers and they'll stick to the 10 days.
Yeah.
So just to be sure, contact them if you're not going to be able to get there. Like, it's by the time they receive it and then they hold it for 10 days.
Yeah.
So it might take a week to get to them anyway.
One of the best things that we've found that has helped us a lot is the Australia Post app. That way you can track anything that you have coming or going. And with the Australia Post app, you can track when it's actually been delivered to the post office, so you can count your 10 days from there. So you'll know exactly where it's at.
In fact, the Australia Post app tells you how long they will hold it and the last day.
Yeah.
But if you ring up, the central line and ask them to hold it longer, they will put in that request. It's not a big deal, and then they will contact the post office. The great thing about having it sent to Australia Post or a post office is that if you go, oh, whoa, hang on a minute, and it happened to us in the floods, we can't actually get to that post office because of the floods. So you can ask still that central number for that to be transferred from one post office to another.
So, I mean, we're pretty fortunate here in Australia with the postal service we have. Now, when you get something sent to the post office, you do need to address it specifically. So, for instance, when we're in Mullumbimby, we had things delivered to the Mullumbimby post office.
We did.
And on the posting address label, it actually states care of the Mullumbimby post office and the post office's address.
Yeah.
So you've got to clearly mark it for that.
And then when you do go and pick up the parcel, they'll require a licence or some form of ID. And then it's important for you to say to them, I had this sent care of the post office, because the mail in the mail room or care of the post office is different to the place that they have for all the other addresses. That's a really important step.
Yeah.
I've learned, because they've missed a parcel of mine because we looked in the wrong place. Another tip is when you actually put an order in with an organisation, a company, or a parcel to be sent, just be aware that sometimes they have different options for posting. So some of them will have courier and then Australia Post. Always be sure that you take the Australia Post. However, in saying that, I have found that for some companies, certainly not all, but for some companies it's more expensive to send with Australia Post.
And sometimes quite a bit more.
And sometimes quite a bit more. And if that's the case, then I'll see if I can get it sent to the caravan park that we're staying at the time.
Which is another thing I was going to say. If you can't get something delivered to a post office and have to still get it delivered to a physical address,
Yeah.
which is occasionally the case, we've come across that a couple of times.
Yeah, we have.
You just have to notify the caravan park you're going to be staying at. As I said, we stayed at the Oasis Caravan Park up in Darwin, and there was a parcel coming for us which could not be delivered to Australia Post. I had to deliver it to a physical address.
Yeah.
And so we just contacted Oasis and said, do you mind if we get a parcel delivered? And we gave them our details, and they told
And we had
us,
a booking with them. Yeah,
yeah, it wasn't just a random caravan park.
Yeah, we had already had a booking with them for I think it was a couple of weeks, a week, 10 days.
And so they were more than happy for us to have that. In fact, when we got there and I went to the office and sure enough, our parcel there, I noticed a few other people had done the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon for them to get that type of request.
Yeah. Look, Paul, in the time that we've been on the road, I have had only one caravan park refuse to take parcels for us. Just one. I think I had it sent to care of a post office, but then they said, no, we can't deliver.
To a post
I go,
office,
what do I do?
So we got to send it to the caravan park, but they told us off.
But they did take it, but they said they wouldn't do it again.
Don't do it again.
Don't do it again. Oh, goodness gracious.
No, all fun and games. But no, they were good about it. I'm not complaining in any way, shape or form.
But look, definitely ring ahead, because you just can't assume that they're going to be okay with it. Yeah. And I think they appreciate it anyway if you give them the heads up.
Communication's the key. As long as you let people know, whether it's the post office or caravan park, you're normally pretty right. So we've actually found it almost doesn't matter where we are in Australia. I don't think it has mattered where we are, even some of the most remote places. Surprisingly, you can get things delivered there.
Yes.
Might cost a couple of dollars more, might take a little bit longer, but you can get it.
Yeah. You just got to allow for that time between ordering whatever it is you order and allowing that enough time for it to get there.
When we were at Katherine, we had to get a part sent up from Melbourne, from Dometic in Melbourne, to Katherine.
For the refrigerator.
And that was going to take 3 weeks for it to come in. Now, we didn't want to hang around in Katherine for those 3 weeks waiting for a part to turn up. So we actually left, but we did have to plan to come back.
Yeah.
And because we weren't sure on the time frames, we couldn't really get it redirected to somewhere else because, we didn't know where it would be, whether in Kakadu, Litchfield.
But not only that, Paul, we had set up with a company in Katherine to install this part.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of things that meant, okay, well, it's better for us to actually come through Katherine. And we used to use Katherine as a bit of a base anyway.
Yeah, we did actually.
So that wasn't so bad. Again, Katherine Post Office, they were very helpful. We kept going back and forwards to there too, getting stuff delivered.
I think I was on first name basis with them in the end, actually.
On their Christmas card list. We turned up there one day, went to the counter to get the parcels that delivered, and the girl behind the counter went and got a couple of people and said, "Here, this is Wenda."
But that was after Arnhem Land. I mean,
we had quite a truckload of parcels arriving.
Yeah, but that was a few trips to the car, wasn't it?
Yep.
The other thing is that apart from post offices, there are some companies like, I think it's a company called Please Courier. couriers, please. Mullumbimby Post Office wouldn't accept their parcels, but Mullumbimby News Agency did. So news agencies around the corner from the post office, no big deal.
Yeah.
But just be aware that they may not deliver to a post office, but they may deliver to another kind of shop in the area. Yeah. Just again, reiterating the importance of notes to the seller. Please deliver this via Australia Post.
Yep.
Otherwise, the post office, will not accept the parcel.
I mean, there's been some suppliers that we've made clear notification that we wanted it through Australia Post to a post office and the reason for it.
Yes.
And they've still sent it another way.
Yes.
It's ended up costing us extra. But, I mean, to their credit, I can't remember who it was, but to their credit, they actually reimbursed us.
Totally nuts. Totally nuts.
They reimbursed us for the additional costs, which was great. They actually threw in a little gift for us in the end and apologised. So they were really good about it. So most companies, they look after you in that way. They want you to come back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and we do. We continually use them.
We do. We do.
Yep, because we feel like we're a valued customer.
Yeah, and they have good product.
Yeah.
So there are ways around postal services and having your posts redirected. We've just learnt them.
Yep. So
by experience.
Postage should not be an issue when you're on the road.
No, not at all. So on the topic of healthcare and consistent healthcare, which is really important for our age actually.
Yeah. I think it's it's a topic we sort of took the philosophy where we hope for the best but prepare for the worst. And that's pretty much held us quite well on our journey so far. However, having said that, Australia's healthcare system has been incredible. We've learned over the journey through personal experience that the public health system throughout Australia, I imagine, is second to none worldwide.
But you know what? You've tested it really well, haven't you, Paul, lately?
I have.
Yeah, you really, really have. Yeah, absolutely. Where for you, the public system was just perfect.
Oh, yeah, it worked so well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It did, because you had acute things that needed to be taken care of right there and then.
Yep.
It was...
and I was seen to straight away. And it was fantastic. So as far as healthcare, while we've kept our private health insurance, and hopefully we'll never have to exercise the need for it to the max, it is a bit of a comfort knowing it's there. I certainly would be comfortable enough relying on our public system for my healthcare.
Our private health insurance came in really, really handy when I had to have the gallbladder removed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it meant that I could have it done straight away and I could recover and then get back on the road.
Yep.
I could just get it done and move on.
There was an out-of-pocket expense with that particular situation, which you don't get in the public system, but we did get it treated immediately and efficiently, and it was out of the way. Yeah. The public system, one of the areas which I suppose I tested was when I broke my wrist. I originally had it treated at Byron Bay. They did the initial assessment, but then I was referred from Byron Bay to the Tweed Hospital. This is all through the public system, so it costs nothing. There's no out-of-pocket expenses. Yep. They put the cast on for me. I had to have the cast on for 5 weeks, but in 5 weeks' time, we were going to be in Melbourne, in Geelong specifically.
Yeah.
And so I had to tee up a fracture unit in Geelong to be able to take care of that end of it, which does disturb the continuity of care because it's not the same place. I actually needed to get another referral from my GP to get seen by the Geelong clinic. I mean, in the end, the cast came off and through the public system, my wrist is pretty much back to normal now, which is great.
There is healthcare all over Australia. Yeah, some of it a bit more limited than in others, particularly in the more remote areas. You would not find, the kind of healthcare that you would find in Melbourne.
Yeah. I remember in Julia Creek, when they needed to go to the doctors, so she tried to book into a doctor's at Julia Creek, just could not get an appointment. But in a week's time, we were going to be in Mount Isa. So we were able to call ahead.
I first tried Cloncarry, so then we tried Mount Isa, which is much more major centre,
Yeah.
and I was able to get an appointment.
And that was 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, that was two, and I was able to get an appointment there. So I made sure I attended that one.
Yeah. Another aspect of healthcare since we've been travelling is illness. Now, we've been pretty fortunate, actually. While we've been on the road, we've very rarely come down with anything that has impacted our ability to function normal daily lives. Been in Melbourne 2 weeks and already got hit with COVID, so that knocked us about a bit. But we were planning to move from where we were to another place. But then we came down with COVID and thought, hang on a sec, we're going to have to change our plans because we can't really move. We certainly weren't in any condition to move.
We were too unwell.
And we couldn't really, because of the COVID, we couldn't really go visiting anywhere.
Yeah.
So we really needed to confine ourselves to the caravan. Fortunately, we had enough in the caravan that we didn't need to go anywhere and interact with anyone. We were able to extend our stay of where we were just by the phone. So it meant that we didn't have to interact with anyone. We're just able to lie in bed all day and feel sorry for ourselves.
Oh, we did that so well.
We did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really knocked us about a bit.
But what COVID has done, it has allowed telehealth more often. So, you can have that consistency of care with your GP or, sometimes even specialists that are prepared to see you via telehealth.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so still can take care of your health that way. And nowadays, amazingly, you can get pathology referrals online.
Yep.
Or sent to your phone. You can get prescriptions sent to your phone. Amazing stuff. So all of these things are available to you, and you don't physically need to go and see a GP. However,
there is one aspect of it, and that is you have to physically see a GP in a 12-month period. I found that out recently when I tried to get a referral to the Geelong Hospital. I hadn't seen my GP for over 12 months, and because of that, he was unable to provide me a telehealth session.
Yes. So just be aware of that. That's something new that we've learned. Telehealth has been a wonderful thing for us, but you do need to physically see them once every 12 months.
Now, probably the biggest we've seen, and fortunately obviously hasn't been us, but we were at a caravan park, and there was a couple, probably a few years older than us, across from us, and the woman come out of the caravan very distraught. Turns out her husband had had a heart attack, and unfortunately had passed away. It was very confronting for us.
Definitely
was. What if that sort of thing did happen? Because it can happen.
Yeah.
Obviously very unexpectedly. They'd only been there for a few days, and then that happened.
Yes.
And there was a whole contingency of planning that had to go into for her to move the van, to organise for her husband. They weren't obviously near home. I think they were a few hundred kilometres from where they did have home. For us, it would be different again. We don't actually have a home. And so when you're long-term travelling, full-time travelling, it's a very real possibility.
Yeah. So regardless of where you are in Australia, there is always healthcare. Some a little bit more limited, healthcare than others, but there is always healthcare. So they can just kind of get you to the nearest place if they need to.
Yeah.
We're very, very fortunate in Australia to have such amazing healthcare all over Australia, but also via the public system.
Yeah. Even in the remote parts of Australia. And that's why they say it's good to have a sat phone or some way of communicating where you don't rely on the telephone services.
Absolutely.
And for us, we have Starlink, which we take with us in the remote areas, and within minutes that can be set up and we can have communications open up to us.
We can call for help if we need to.
So if something happened, we would be able to get help regardless of where we were in Australia. It might take a while to get there, but you can get it.
Yes, absolutely. So we've talked about some of the things, Paul, that we wish we had known when we first went on the road. Things that would have made life a little easier or life on the road a little easier, both in our postal services and in our medical care. So I hope that what we've talked about today has been helpful for you.
And don't forget, if you have any questions or comments about it,
Yeah.
let us know in the comment section below, and we're more than happy to respond to that. Look forward to sharing more of our adventures, our hints and tips.
From this beautiful country of ours.
Yep. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye for now.
Bye.